Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast.
And we get the back view of him. And I mean, it's just a mega.
52 yards is a long shot. Magnum PI, what we named him. No idea.
Just a magnum.
Yeah, just a magnum.
Come on cam last year. We said probably 150, mid 150.
Yeah.
Same doe from the morning come out with that 9-pointer.
Here steps out this 90-inch 8-pointer. You're like,
I'm like, okay, well, there's still a buck back there grunting.
Yeah.
And then out steps like another 90-inch 8-pointer. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm like, deer right there.
Yeah, like
and he's already
yards.
30 yards.
Yeah.
He was literally 5 yards from the base of the tree. Could have been, had a buck down at 1:40 in the afternoon, back there deep on public. 3 does come out pretty early. It was like 245, 24-yard shot, sent the combat veteran, and I tell you what, man, dude, it just smoked. We always get so jacked up when the other person kills. It's just almost like we got it done.
Yeah. And when you killed that doe, I was like, hell yeah, man.
And we come down here to Missouri.
I asked Comey one more time. I'm like, is it a good buck? And he goes, yeah, real good, solid buck. I'm like, all right, boom. And the deer just drops. Sure. Super special to me.
Whitetail Legacy Podcast, bringing you back to the hunt and leaving a legacy. Baller Rut.
Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast, coming in your ear holes with another giant deer story. This deer is so big, it's not going to fit in your ear holes. It's going to be physically possible. So stretch those ear holes, lube them up, give yourself a wet willy, whatever it takes to get ready for this story, because here we go. We're talking to Matt Brunswick, who killed a 252-inch deer from Ohio last year. You might have seen the pic online. Absolute crazy 6.5-year-old giant. If you haven't seen it, check out our Instagram or Facebook, and there's a picture there of him. Huge jump from 5 to 6. Really cool story. A lot of good details, and we just kind of go down in his hunting career for the past like 10 years. And dude's had a lot of success, and kind of where he's seen success and where he's had luck and not had luck. So we're going to get into the people that make this possible. We're going to get into the show. Do you have the suicide hotline prevention number?
Yeah, the suicide prevention hotline number is 1-800-273-8255. Guys, go ahead and share that. We've shared it on our story multiple times. So just go ahead and get that out there, because most people that need help aren't going to be willing to talk about it, usually with somebody. And like you'd have to be really super close. So, but there might be more optimal to do it themselves. So go ahead and share that, and you never know, you might be able to save somebody's life.
That is true. Do you have Exodus trail cams?
Yeah, guys. Like we said here, it was probably 3 weeks, a month ago. Getting some cameras out for some turkeys. So we got them out and see into some couple strut zones. And we got the render on the absolute money spot going to the roost. Absolute, the birds are always there. Like, it's not ever there. So we're getting some pics at night, knowing that the birds are going to be there in the morning. And that render's out there just being solid, just like it was in deer season. So nothing to worry about with the 5-year warranty behind that product. And you can check that out at ExodusOutdoorGear.com.
Yep. I'm going to try to get a couple out myself, couple mobiles, I think. Just because I ain't got nothing to do this weekend, I can drive to a couple of them, short walk, just stick them up. As long as the farmer don't diss the fields, I'll be pretty solid.
Right.
Or plant.
All right, so that means the farmer's disking the field.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to cover Last Breath. Like we said the last few weeks, you guys been listening. We're covering the launch party. That's coming up here real quick in July. This week, we're going to talk about the free beer. So last week and the week before, we talked about the films and we talked about the free gear. Why you guys are enjoying this free event where you get to watch these badass hunting films with the chance to win this badass free hunting gear. You're also going to drink cold beer. So this is like a deer hunter redneck's dream right now.
Yes.
You got entertainment, you might win some stuff for free. Everybody loves free shit, and you got cold beer. So last year we absolutely drained them of beer. They said they're going to have double the amount this year. So you guys show up to the show at the theater, you're going to get free beer. And then also the after party effect. So you get, go to the films. A lot of people stay in a hotel up there, and you're going to be able to go out and, maybe you watch the film and you want to talk to Garrett, you want to talk to Grant or Jesse. They're going to be there. You can go talk to these guys. They're going to be just like another buddy that you never met. First time we met them, we went out with them that night, and we had a hell of a time partying. So I remember we walked out of that bar and we were out in the parking lot, and we're like, man, this is where we want to be. Mm-hmm. This is who we want to be around. So we could just tell right then that we were going to vibe for a long time. So, and we'll be out drinking and partying. So if you guys do end up making it to the show and want to come hang out with us, say what's up, make sure and run us down. We'll be around somewhere. We'll be probably the loudest, rowdiest part in the corner. That'd be us. But that's just another great thing that happens at the launch party. So.
Yep. And Logan shot a turkey today.
Yeah, so, I know. Yeah,
congrats
that's awesome.
to her. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. So Logan
is
starting off the third season with a bang.
Yeah, with a bang. So, do you have next level deer supplements?
Yeah, I do. This week we're going to give out a tip here. This is straight from the man himself, Nate Clark. And Nate says to try and keep your mineral sites away from cedars and pines. The soil around them areas is usually more bitter, which can keep the deer from hitting the mineral. So we need the deer to consume the mineral and their products. So try to avoid them areas, and we'll come at you next week, hopefully, with another tip. And hopefully, because this is the time to get that stuff out and get going. Fawns are going to be dropping. We need the does getting their milk in and get a good supply, get healthy, and get that fawn started off on the right foot.
Yeah, that fawn could be a 130. You get it off on the right foot. Could be a 170. Never know.
Right.
So start pumping those steroids into those young ones as quick as you can. All right, guys. Well, like I said, I really enjoyed this episode. Matt's a great dude. We also have Ben on here. We almost forgot to mention from the Bow Hunting League. He kind of helped us set this up. Matt was a big part of the Bow Hunting League with the showdown and everything. So if you guys haven't checked the Bow Hunting League out yet, go ahead and check that out. Ben's on here. He talks a little bit about it. And I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into the show. All right, guys. We got Ben from the Bow Hunting League and Matt Brunswick on. He's going to do a big buck breakdown for you guys. As you can tell, if you're watching the YouTube video from his wall behind him, the guy's got absolute slammers back there. So first, Ben, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm fantastic. I'm glad I get to talk to you guys again. I always love talking to y'all.
Yeah, I appreciate you helping us set this up. Brunswick had an incredible year, not on top of all the badass seasons in the back, but without the Bow Hunting League, it would have been hard for us to find a guy like Matt to actually get a hold of and talk to. So the Bow Hunting League's getting some of those killers, out in the spotlight a little bit for people to learn from. So how you doing tonight, Matt?
Doing good. I appreciate you having me on tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate you spending some time with us, talk a little deer hunting. Like I said, you had an awesome buck kill last year, and your wife's killing, and you're slamming every season. So you definitely got something figured out. We're going to dive into that here in just a second. But homie, you over there? Are you over there kicking?
I'm over here. I'm watching the squiggles, bro. That's my only job right now is watch the squiggles.
Got the squiggles. It's so weird over here having no squiggles, no time, no nothing.
Yeah.
The TV ain't up. I'm like, oh yeah, here we go.
You're just looking at your small ass phone out there.
Yeah, just looking at my small phone, like, But all right, well, let's start this out. Oh, Ben muted himself. He can't even talk, but
I'm muted now.
yeah. You are on the show, so I want to do a quick shout out for the Bow Hunting League. Give them a rundown of what it is for the people that are listening. If they don't know, can get an idea of what you got going on.
All right, so we run 3 contests every year. We do in the yard, one-shot challenge type thing. You do Facebook Live. We also have the Turkey League, which is going on right now. We've had 86 birds entered already out of 300 members, competitors. So I think that's pretty good closing ratio for those turkey hunters bow hunting. And then we've got coming up starting June 1st, we have the Whitetail League signups. It's a 3-man team, competition, Whitetail League competition. And it's free, totally free. We're approaching $25,000 in sponsors this year. So it's something for everybody. It's free. Get signed up, bowhuntingleague.com. And that's my plug.
Yeah. We like it just because the people that we get to meet, you know what I mean? We don't ever kill shit enough to even be on the leaderboard, but we're in it just for the Facebook page and just the people that we get to talk to. So
yeah, huge. Yeah. And that's the thing, like the biggest thing I've got out of the group, to be honest with you, is camaraderie. We talked a lot about that with the Next Level show we did with you guys, but that's what we're seeing. Like, for instance, like with the Turkey League right now, I know of at least 9 guys that have traded hunts, and these are with people that they didn't know prior to getting drafted on those teams. So it's super neat. You just got to get in there. I mean, there's so much going on in there. Just, it's super easy to sign up and get in and talk to guys,
Yeah.
like-minded bow hunters. That's what we are.
All right, well, let's get to you, Matt. We got you on. Like I said, we're going to do a kind of just a big buck breakdown with you. First time on the show. We are going to talk about your buck last year a little bit, of course. But first of all, just let the listeners kind of know who you are and how you got into hunting and what you got going on now.
I'm from Northwest Ohio. I was always an outdoors kid. Growing up, my family didn't really deer hunt at all. So I grew up hunting small game, pheasants, rabbit. When I started getting a little bit older, my buddy's dad would take us out to the Ohio shotgun season. That's what got me started into deer hunting. Ended up buying a crossbow. Back then, I didn't know what I was doing at all. I remember riding my moped, holding the crossbow, going down the road, sitting in the fence row. I didn't have a headlight on the moped, so I'd have to be home before dark. Never checked the direction. I was clueless. I mean, no wonder I never killed anything for years out there. But I think I was 14. I killed my first deer with a crossbow. Really got me excited about deer hunting. And I went on a tear about killing these does after that. When I was 16, I shot my first buck. He's a little bass crack, 10 point, maybe 80 inches. But so that's 2001. So from 2001 to 2008, I just shot does every year. I fill my tags with does. I just didn't get opportunity at bucks. Then in 2008, it was the opening day of shotgun season. Went out with my buddies. It was real cold. We sat in the morning. We moved to a different property. Pretty fortunate. My buddy put me on this property and got pretty lucky and stumbled into upper 170s 15-pointer. So that was my second buck. But that 2008 season was when I switched to compound bow hunting. I shot a doe with my bow. I really liked the bow hunting aspect. And now that I had a trophy deer under my belt, I decided I was going to start, targeting better deer, even though I'd not shot any deer up to this point with a rack. And the 2009 season, I ended up passing up a 120, which was way bigger than anything I'd ever shot. And I was fortunate enough, and I got lucky on November 8th. This big old buck come across, and he's killing a doe. And I thought he actually had a corn stalk hanging off his antler, and ended up being a big old drop tine and making a perfect shot on him. It was about 45 yards away. I wouldn't even probably take that shot today, but I pinwheeled him, made a perfect shot. He ended up going to upper 170s also. So, I mean, boom, boom. I'm now hooked on hunting big deer. The following season went out November 2nd. I ended up killing 160s, and that was a morning hunt. I was going to get down on my tree stand, but I just blew on the grunt tube a few times just to see what happened. Ended up working. He ended up coming in, made probably a 12-yard shot on him. So I had 3 real good seasons in a row, and then that's when it flipped into 5 long seasons of all year hunting for the most part. 2011 was last year I hunted with the gun. I ended up shooting one late season. I think it was the second shotgun season. Probably 120s. 8 tags, 2012, 2013. 2014 hunted all year. Didn't kill until January 26th of the following year. just a few days left in the season. He ended up being like 127. So pretty good buck for late season. The following year again, hunted long. I ended up targeting this big white 8-point in 2015, and I put all my marbles on him. I had some troubles with the neighboring property owner. They'd see me, they were allowed to ride their 4-wheeler on the property, and whenever they saw me, they'd come out their 4-wheeler and drive around. So it just ended up being a pain. That deer ended up disappearing on me, and I ended up killing it, and I ended up killing a different deer late season with my bow. He ended up going 137, real good deer. And then in 2016, he showed back up. He's actually a real big wide one behind me, 23.5-inch wide, 170-inch, I think 12-point, just a great deer. And that's one of the biggest frame deer I killed until this last season. So after then, I've been strictly bow hunting. 2017, I shot a 5.5-year-old buck. He had a big old dagger on one side. I don't know if you can see it with my right here. Just a big old body deer. I think you can field dress at 240. Just a monster of a deer. 2018, I shot, ended up shooting one, ended up going 124. Shot him November 8th. I've killed a couple of these deer in that time frame, that November 2nd to that November 8th window. I've had a lot of encounters or killed a lot of deer in that window. 2012, I missed a good one at November 5th, which ended up being the same day I killed this year too. Last year was my first year, or 2019, my first year joining the bow hunting league. One of my buddies had asked me to join, and ended up killing a nice 166 10-point. October 12th, it was a cold front. I knew it'd be a good morning, or a good day. I got set up, ended up killing him. And then this year, obviously, I shot the deer I never dreamed I'd even see. I mean, I had a ton of different property last year. Someone had stole my camera off that property. The property I'm changing hands. I lost permission. So I was in hunt for new property in the general area. I ended up getting a spot a little farther than what I thought originally. I didn't know what the property hold. Never hunted that particular area, so I threw a trail camera up. And on my first card pull on July 3rd, that deer was on there, and he was huge for July 3rd. And I figured he would challenge the county record just with how big he looked. And then July 8th, I got a photo in daylight. And then July 13th, I got a series of nighttime photos. And on that last photo, he looked up the camera. I've had this before with big deer, and he just disappeared after that. He didn't show back up on camera from July 13th until October 3rd, just gone. And so you can imagine, I am like stressing about this deer. My wife heard about it every night. The kids got a lot of ice cream because I drive up, get kids ice cream, and we go drive back. So I'll be in the minivan, with the binoculars out with 3 kids in the back eating ice cream, trying to find this deer. And I looked, and I never laid eyes on that deer. And I, in those years where I had ate a tag, I had focused on one deer, and I told myself I wouldn't do that again. So once I didn't see that deer season arrived, I was like, okay, I'm just going to write that deer off. I don't know where he went. And I began pursuing other deer. And then all of a sudden you start seeing this deer show up on social media. And I remember sitting in my tree stand and getting sent a picture of this deer. And the next day I went out and I drove around and around until I could line up that photo with the background and figure out where that deer was. And I was like, boom, okay, I'm back in the ball game. He's not that far away. And that's kind of how my season went. I stayed real quiet about this deer. I got a few good buddies I share pictures with, but with this particular deer, I decided I was going to be quiet about it. Just kind of keep myself. If I didn't get him, it's all on me then. So, and that was my plan. And that deer would pop up, and people would send me like, "Can you believe this deer's around here?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And so I'd play it off. And I remember one time they sent the picture out. They said where it was at, and I drove that area, and I looked, and that there's nothing in the background lined up with that photo. And I ended up driving back towards where I was at, and then was able to line up where that picture was. And whoever took that photo gave false information, obviously, where the deer was actually at. So when he came through like October 3rd, the 16th, the 27th, and it was always at night, just enough to kind of keep me back on him. And every time we're like I just got to sit in a tree. So I go to the property and I just sit in a tree because I wanted to go hunt. And this property, I tried to hunt in the morning a couple times and never worked out. So I only hunted evenings, had real good evening access. And I saved my vacation for this time of year. I think I was off for like a 17 or 18 day stretch. So when when the 5th rolled around, you guys remember the beginning of November was the real warm weather. And actually back when I killed my first real big buck with a bow in 2009, it was really hot that day too. So I was just like, all I have to do is get lucky if a doe brings them out. And I got out to my tree stand that afternoon, find up early, it's hot, and I looked over and I saw 3 does get up. They had heard me, but they didn't see me. They lay back down. So like, oh, good, I got some does in the area. And actually it was a doe and her 2 fawns. And I sat there and I had, I think, a small buck go through. And I sat there and that was all I saw all night. And then 5.2, it was about 35 minutes left of shooting time. I looked over, I just saw the big paddle on this one side where Paul meets right there. I knew right away it's him. And where I had my tree stand position, there's a tree that had fallen down and kind of pinched the deer around. And so I knew. I picked my opening, and he came by, and I tried to stop him, and he didn't stop. And luckily, he stopped on the next opening, and he was looking over that doe was that I'd seen. And so he had no idea I was there and made a perfect shot. He kind of did a little horseshoe, and as a crow flies, he probably only went 15, 20 yards. And he stopped, looked back at where that doe was. Then I just watched him tip right over and just saw the rack sticking up.
Oh, geez.
It was one of the craziest things I'll ever experience in deer woods. So I immediately called my wife first. I had learned early on, I'm very, very blessed that she supports my addiction with this. In the past, I'd always call my buddies first and call her last, and she pointed out that she didn't like that. So I've always made a point to call her first since then. And I gave her a call. She knew how much this deer meant to me. I'm a pretty diehard bow hunter. I'm constantly driving around looking at deer, changing cameras. And I ended up calling my buddy, my buddy TJ, he always helps me drag these deer out. And then back when I got my first photo in summer, I talked to one of our ODNR officers and said, hey, look, I'm chasing this deer. This deer looks unbelievable. I don't know how big he is. I think he's over 200. I've never seen a deer that big before on camera. And when I show him a picture, he called it Cabela's deer. And so I shot that deer. I called him and he didn't answer. And I called him right again. He's like, hello. And he's whispering. So he's like, deer hunting. I said, hey, I shot that big one. And so he ended up calling the Division of Wildlife. And so I wanted everything documented. I didn't want any rumors going around. Every time you hear about a big buck getting shot, there's always, I've seen on Facebook 100 times, and I saw him even on my deer, even though I tried to alleviate that. So he came out, took permission, took a photo of my permission slip, the tree stand, the blood trail, which was real short, and then the recovery. So I had all that documented just in case there's any questions with that. And we brought him back, and I ended up having, 20-some people stop my house that night at least, have a few drinks, have some pizza, and celebrate. This deer is just so big for around here. I think he broke the county record by over 37 inches. So just a huge deer.
Yeah, it's freaking nuts. I seen the picture of that deer. I'm like, what is going on? There's so much to take in one shot. You know what I mean? But, yeah. A bunch of stuff I want to talk about. But one thing that I wanted to bring up, which I think a lot of people struggle with, you're only getting night pics of them, and you weren't get a ton of pics of them, right? Right. But you only had kind of one option. That's the only piece you had that was close to him, correct?
Yeah, that was the only piece. And, you get all that vacation time. You don't just want to sit there. I spent so many nights staring at empty fields looking for them and checking cameras all the time. And I was like, I just had to get out in the woods. So there's a few times I went up in the tree stand knowing I wasn't going to shoot anything and brought my bow with me just in case something really surprised me. But, I was pretty locked on him. And every time I'd start, I need to go hunt something else. I'm not going to kill this deer. I focused on one deer and got burnt a few times. And then he'd show back up. And then I'd be back on. He'd disappear for 2 weeks. Then he'd show back up. So I knew for me to kill him, it was going to take the rut and get pretty lucky. And fortunately, that's what happened.
I feel like that's a lot of people. They get just nighttime pics. We do that a lot. We get nighttime pics of a deer. He's in the area. And if you can't move on him or get any closer, I feel like some people just knock that deer off as being unkillable. Right. So that's, like you said, you had to choose, is this deer worth me wasting a whole season on? And we've talked about that on this podcast a lot. You have to decide that early in the year, because if you had a season where you're targeting a buck and you're not able to fill your tag, it kind of sucks. You're kind of kicking yourself in the butt like, man, I shouldn't have been in there after this deer. So
that sounds like something you were committed to right out the rip, which I think you kind of have to do. And then, just do whatever you can to try to make it happen. And you're only getting nighttime picks. He's random as hell, but you're in there hunting. Just like you said, you never know what happened. And he just happened to be in there. So,
there'll be times where I'm like, this deer's not killable. I need to go sit somewhere else. I sit somewhere else. And then I check cameras, boom, he'd be back. So now I'd be back on this deer 100%, disappear for a week or two. And it's like, I need to get back and stand somewhere. And so I was really back and forth with this deer. And I mean, just my family in general. My wife ended up shooting her best deer this year too. And the funny story with my daughter, she was 6 at the time, and I told her I'd take her out deer hunting. I ordered one of these muddy bull blinds to take out. I wanted to take my wife and I. We invested on one of those to take the kids out, and it got delayed because of COVID. It never came, and so I just ended up never taking her out. I thought she had forgot about it. And I got home one day, and my mother-in-law was babysitting, and she goes, "I got to tell you what Bristol said." I go, "What's that?" She goes, "Grandma, did your dad ever disappoint you?" And I was like, "What?" Daddy said he's gonna take me deer hunting, but he never did. And I already shot my deer, and I was like, "Oh, it just hit me right in the heart. Like, she really wants to go." And that's one thing nice with Ohio allowing crossbows, especially with someone her age. She never shot one before, and I took her out in the backyard to have her practice, and she was just, hitting bullseyes. So I'm like, we'll take her out. The next day, she went out and shot a deer on her first hunt, and it was a little 5-point. We were gonna shoot the first deer that came in, and it'll be a little 5-point deer and half-year-old. And he just come trotting on in and stopped, and she made a great shot on him. She takes about 2 minutes to aim at a deer. It seems like it took forever, but she ended up making a really good shot and knocking it down. And we got home, and she's like, "Daddy," I go, "What?" She goes, "You hunt all the time." And I went one time and got one. I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna put her on some random fence row like I did growing up, and then let her get the real taste of it for a little bit."
Yeah. Go sit on a fence row, not have anybody guide you at all.
Yeah.
That was like me just out there walking around. Lucky I seen any deer to be able to kill. I'm just out there walking around trying to learn what I'm doing, scaring everybody. If there was a guy who knew what he was doing that hunted the same ground as me when I was young on public, that guy hated my guts. I walked every inch of that thing a couple times a year.
Especially
I was a guy that was like, I'll hunt 10 minutes here, and then I'm like, I'll move up another 20 yards.
Yeah, I just remember when I first started, like I didn't have a whole lot of areas, and I'd go to Walmart, buy the little apple spray, and think like that was going to bring the deer in, tried all the gadgets. Now I very seldom use any kind of calls or anything. I really watch cold fronts. It's the main thing I target on nowadays, and obviously time of year. I mean that end of October to the 15th of November is time and stand. And fortunately, I've been on my job long enough now, or built up vacation where I can take off those 2-3 weeks if I need to.
Yeah, that's nice. We're working on our 3rd week right now. That 3rd week's going to be able to give a week for the family and 2 weeks for hunting. And then hopefully, I'm hoping I can cheat like 3 days for the family and a couple days for turkeys, because Illinois turkey season's atrocious. So being able to hunt 2 nice days during your tag, other than the weekend, would be killer.
Right.
So,
yeah, turkey's one thing I never got into. I'm basically strictly deer and nothing else. Year round, I'm checking cameras. Or listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos. Every day we're doing something deer hunting related in the house. And my wife bought some earbuds because I listen to your guys' podcasts and other podcasts. We travel, and it's just what we do every day. That's what we live and breathe.
Yeah, we're the same, man. We podcast every week, so we're always talking to someone about deer. And then we're always planning on getting some shit done, but never get anything accomplished, it seems like. But we got a lot of plans. But one thing I wanted to hit you on is when you're going through your years of transition, there was some years there where you did struggle for a couple of years. You were targeting a certain buck, and then it seems like you came back and had some success. Is there anything that you changed throughout that time that you think might have altered your success, or were you more of just targeting an area instead of a buck, or what were you doing?
Just a couple of things. One of the years was on me. I made a miss at 25 yards of a shot I should have made. November 5th, 2012. I'll always remember that. But a couple more, I was hunting unrealistic deer, I had pictures of deer at nighttime. Never got them in daylight, and I think I was hunting unkillable deer. So I ended up eating a tag, and that almost burnt me this season because I was started to write that deer off and get back in the woods. So part of it too is I used to, after gun season, never hunt, and then I started learning more, and just the more you learn, the more you're out there, the more you learn. And I learned the early season getting on the food, October watching the cold fronts, and then obviously once you're coming up to the rut, and rut time is time and stand at that point. Then late season you're back to food sources. So, and unpressured area. If you can find an unpressured bedding area, that's where you need to be.
Yeah, that seems to be the key. You got something, homie?
Yeah, if you can go ahead and finish there, and I'm going to jump to something else.
Go ahead.
I want to circle back to your October 12th kill last year. I don't know why, but I'm always very intrigued with super early October kills. I actually remember this day very well because there was a cold front that Cody and I went into our best spot, and we had a very, very uneventful hunt. But it's weird how you remember those days that you're all jacked up for it, cold front October, and it was like a 35 plus degree drop here, and
it was substantial.
Yeah, it was huge. So I know you said that you focus on cold fronts there during that time frame. Is there anything else that you really key on, or is it just mostly hunting the weather at that point?
I put a lot of trust in my cameras. I don't run a ton of cameras, probably a ton of some, but I run like 12 cameras, roughly around there, 10, 12. And my cameras had shown that this buck was in the area, and he was half an hour after dark. So I knew it wasn't too far. And I thought, man, if we could just get a good cold front, we can get him up out of bed. And actually, the section I was hunting wasn't a huge block of timber, so I didn't think he could possibly be that far away from me. And when I saw that cold front coming in, and I've been with my wife long enough that she's like, I see there's a cold front coming. You're gonna be going deer hunting. She just understands, and I'm pretty fortunate on that end. So if the stars align, we got the cold front coming, got the good wind, I'll be sure to be in that tree. If you got something going on, we're gonna get it changed around.
Yeah, that was something I kind of did a little bit different this year. Is I might have gave up my Sunday or something, but I was able to get out on at least a Tuesday or a Thursday night during the week, and had some better hunts than I would have probably on that Sunday, where if I would have just went because it was Sunday, the weekend. But instead, I would flip-flop the Sunday night hunt for a Tuesday night hunt after work. I knew I was going to have a light load at work, so I'd be able to jet out right at time and get out there. So I definitely agree with that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And honestly, with me, I'm always looking for the next spot or the next thing. I'm not really. I know you guys are into gadgets and stuff. I've shot the same broadhead since the first day. I haven't changed. I've only owned 2 compound bows my entire life. I was going through them in the last 13 years. I've killed 11 times, and of those 11 bucks, they come on 10 different properties, 10 different landowners. So always knocking on different doors, trying to get a different spot to get into. And what I found here lately is if you're saying you're strictly bow hunting, that really helps around here. Seems like unfortunately there's some landowners get burnt on gun season sometimes, and they'll get a bad rap. And so, and I like getting it done before gun season anyway. It makes life a lot less stressful too.
Yeah, that's a goal of ours every year going into it. At least have one buck down between the two of us, and at least one guy's kind of got some pressure off of him. But every year we're right down to the wire every time.
Yeah, that's where you guys are lucky. You have that second buck tag. But honestly, I hope Ohio keeps the 1 buck tag. I feel like it helps our deer herd. We're gonna have more trophy caliber deer, and I'm okay with shooting 1 deer if Ohio can kind of keep that going for sure. I would like to start looking at other states. Honestly, before the bow hunting league and the showdown, I'd never went hunted public ground before. Never went out of my little circle around my house here. And honestly, when I first got invited, I was like, do I really want to go down to Florida and shoot a deer that's going to be big? It's going to be 115 inches. And I was kind of hesitant at first, but I'm going down there for the experience. And man, I'm so glad I went, because the experience is exactly what I got. And I met a lot of cool guys down there, a lot of like-minded people. it was just one of the coolest experiences I've been a part of. And if I ever get a chance to go, I'll absolutely be there again.
It seemed like a pretty cool deal getting to, kind of get semi-live updates through the Facebook group and the coveted Snap group, if you're able to get into that. But being able to see some of the stuff you guys had going on down there, it looked like a ton of fun. Everybody's saying, oh, nobody's seen anything over here, but these guys saw a couple small ones, and just looked like a bunch of fun with a bunch of guys, and I'm sure you guys ate like kings down there.
Oh, yeah. Brad Osborne, he hooked us up. He cooked for us, and he had a nice spread almost every night for us, so that was much appreciated.
The damn bike video had me dying. I was loving that shit, man. We bike in a lot to our pieces, so it was hilarious to see someone else doing it. And you're like, oh shit, it's just biking. But then you start, you're like, this sucks, man.
Yeah.
This sucks. But you guys kept taking breaks and shit. I was dying. I was like, this is perfect. The one who had the tiny bike got the shaft. It got the hella shaft.
Yeah, that'd be Matt Powell. He sacrificed for us. He had the shaft on
that.
He got the shaft on the bike, but man, that was freaking awesome when you guys, and I could just tell by that Snap group, that how much fun you guys were having, whether you killed or not. Just that's everybody wants to kill, but having that kind of stuff's just as important, especially on a trip, because I bet you no one really. That's the thing about hunting. When you're hunting your hometown, you're like, man, I got a good chance to go out and really kill something. But if you're going to Florida, you're kind of already like, man, it might happen, but a pretty good chance it's not going to, So you're already into it a little bit stress-free. And I think when the stress is off, that's why when it just becomes more fun. That's like with us. If we could kill in October, we would have the funnest November. We'd just be riding. We both killed in October. Dude, it'd be insane out there. We would be feeling like kings. But one year we'll make it happen. 2 guys in one tree is making it hard for us both to get a buck down.
Y'all have definitely got an uphill battle hunting together every time. But that's what's cool about what you're saying, kind of linked up a lot of the things with the showdown. Everybody that was there had an epic year. So, it was just kind of the grand finale, like, hey, let's talk about all the stuff we accomplished. And it was neat because I got to see everybody make these sacrifices to get down there. I mean, Brunswick, Garris, all of them, they're all making sacrifices to travel long distances to get down to Florida to go shoot 6-pointers, and it was just really, it was a lot of fun. And I hope that a lot of these guys get qualified again, because it's, I could imagine having more fun with a bunch of strangers again like that.
And it was like February.
Yeah, and it was late as hell.
The rut's kicking down here, boys.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, and actually our first day, the season wasn't open. There was a little break in the season, so we all went out fishing, and I know Ben had a good time out there. I don't know if you guys get any Snapchats of that.
Yeah.
But we went out fishing.
I was good for about 30 minutes. I caught 4 fish, and then I was in the on the bench the whole rest of the time, sick. I wasn't the only one that was sick, but I'm pretty sure I was the worst.
Was it like was it the sickness like Iowa Deer Classic, or was it a different kind of sickness?
I was 100% ready to go fishing, if that tells you anything. And I know it wasn't the Iowa Beer Classic by any means.
Oh, okay. All right. I was wondering, that sickness will sneak up on you and take you down.
That thing's a whole new level out there. You got to watch out for that.
Homie crosses state lines, blacking out.
Yep. Yep. Pretty much.
Oh.
Yeah, I was expecting to see y'all hang around a lot longer that one day on a Saturday, but I think y'all had enough.
Yeah, homie slept all the way home. He wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, I'm getting up there, man. I'm 3-4 years older than you. I went hard. I went too hard. That's the problem. Didn't pace myself.
How old are you? I'm damn near 30.
I'm gonna be 31.
Oh, yeah, 3 years. Fucking 3 years. Fucking can't do math. Oh.
Yeah, I'm definitely the oldest one in here. Hell, I'm 37.
You still got that soft-ass face, though, looking young as
I shaved last night. I had to soften the seat up, so looking real good right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ben's got the softest seat in the game. Look at that. Oh. All right, let's get back to some deer. People just clicked it and they just turned it off. Yep, we're done. So you shot your giant last year. How are you going to go into this year? What's your plan? Are you just going to try to find it? Are you going to step up your game and only shoot bigger deer now, or are you just going to go for whatever's out there?
I don't think, honestly, there's going to be deer that size in our county for a long time again.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to shoot anything bigger, but I know when I shot my giant, people were like, well, you only going to shoot like 160s, 170s? I said, absolutely not. I'm going to shoot whatever I can get my hands on. You know what I mean? So I was just wondering kind of what mindset you were in.
For me, it actually happened at a great time because, I've been pretty fortunate to kill some good deer with my bow. And with my daughter killing her first deer, she saw my deer season. My boy, he just turned 5. He's saying he's going to go. So I think I'm going to start transitioning more, trying to get kids on the deer. I got 3 kids. I've always said if I can just get one of my 3 to catch the bug that I have, I'll have a lifetime hunting buddy to go with me. That'd be pretty cool. My wife, she's probably luckier than I am. In her last few hunts, 2 years ago, January 20th, 2020, we just went out hoping to get like 2.5-year-old and a 5.5-year-old 8-point, ended up going 142 inches, came in, and she ended up killing that with her crossbow. And then this season, we went out January 18th, again, another late season. And I'm pretty fortunate. She lets me go hunt first, do my thing. And then if my tags are burnt then we'll go out together. And I was able to film her shooting a mid-150s 8-point this year. Just a great, great deer. So we've been really fortunate here lately. But moving forward, it's going to be more about the kids, and I'll still be chasing big bucks. I mean, I'll still be running my cameras, and if I can get on one, I'll definitely get on one. But if I eat a tag next year, I'm going to be okay with it. And if my kids are successful, or as long as they're still having fun and enjoying it, that works for me. So, yeah, it's been a roller coaster since I shot that deer. I've got to meet a lot of people because of it. I got to go to the showdown for Bowie Leaf because of it. I was actually in the Quest Hunt tournament also. I'm going down to Missouri for their banquet because of it being that deer. So that deer has actually got me connected to a lot of different people. So this came with his highs, and it's also came with his lows. Someone went to one of my properties and ended up stealing a bunch of my cameras and breaking some other property I had out there, cutting tree stand straps. So, there's always going to be someone out there that's upset with you and jealous. And it's unfortunate, but it kind of comes to the territory. Never had anything like that happen before until this year, so can't help but think it's connected to that year.
But
yeah, you're gonna have to keep going out in the minivan because you're gonna have people telling you where you're hunting before you even know where you're hunting. Oh, I see you're hunting over here tonight. Well, I'm not real sure, but I might be there. That's what happened to me. They're like, oh, you're gonna be on the west side tonight. I'm not real sure what I got going on.
And I'll give a Dan Infalt. He's talked about that on his podcast and his shows before about his I break for raccoons bumper stickers. It actually kind of gave me the idea of going out with the kids in a minivan, and like people drive right by me and I just think I'm just a guy out with his kids getting ice cream and don't think anything of me. So
I made that mistake of glassing off the road, and then people stop. What are you doing? And then they see my setup. They're like, oh yeah. And then 2 days later, do you see that giant out there? Yeah, I've been watching it for a month. I'm like, oh no, there's a giant out there, really? I had no idea. I ain't seen nothing out in that bean field. But yeah, keep the low key vehicle. So Ben, what's your plan for this year? How many states you gonna hunt?
So I drew Iowa last year, so I won't have that trip. I'm actually gonna try to focus more on Kentucky. And try to stay around the house more, try to stay more local. Fortunately, I'm 2.5 hours from Ohio, about 2 hours from Illinois, 2 hours from Kentucky. So I can, if I get on, get the idea to go down to Kentucky and run down and hunt Fort Knox or something, I can. And that's, mostly, how it is. Mostly I hunt mostly public ground around my house. And I do have one really good spot in Tennessee to hunt. But really, I mean, this is all connections and networking stuff that I've, anytime I'm in a different state, it's because of somebody else's grace, and that's, my big thing that I'm always looking forward to is, the week before gun opens here in Indiana, I always have deer camp here. And Brunswick's one of the guys that's been invited. And we've got some other buddies that come up every year. Powell always comes up. He shoots the biggest deer in camp, of course. And that's just what happens. And but it's a good time, and like I said, yeah, just kind of staying with a lot of status quo stuff. And we were talking about in the moderator thread today. James Meissner was saying stuff about it, like how many states you guys hunting and stuff. And I think I will have at least one state out of the norm that I'll hunt, but I do look forward to trying to stay home and trying to kill, because I didn't kill a buck in Indiana last year.
You were gone the whole damn time.
Gone the whole time.
Snapchat group, I was like, this dude's in the 6th state in like 3.5 weeks. I'm like,
yeah.
You're like,
I traveled a lot.
That snap when you're like, I don't care if it's an 8-pointer that's 100 inches, it's dying. And then you go, past an 8-pointer.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like I was so hell bent on shooting whatever I saw, and I saw one. I was like, he's nice, and I just I'd take a little video of him walking by me or something.
Yeah, I'm like, I was like waiting for the shot to happen. Like, okay, he's gonna shoot it. Here comes the snap. And he's like, I passed him. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm killing whatever comes out.
Yeah, the pregame snap, I was like, well, he's serious. He is definitely
yeah, he's
serious.
seriously killing something. If a turtle walks past there, that sucker is in trouble.
Yeah, nothing out there is safe.
Well, y'all remember the weather I was hunting in? I mean, it was brutal. It was the last weekend of Ohio, and man, I mean, I was layered up, and I mean, fortunately, I had a really good guy to hunt with, and he made sure he got me around and stuff. But I didn't have to sit all day or anything stupid, But it got pretty cold, and I think that may have had as much of an impact on it as my standards, because I was thinking, if I shoot this 100-inch deer and I got to drag him out and it's 9 degrees, I don't think I'm gonna like that too much.
Yeah, I gotta gut him. There's nothing worse than cold hands after you gut something. You're like, man.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Homie, where we at over there? I ain't got no.
We're at 42. Number. We're at 42.
42. All right. Yeah, well,
sitting all right.
Well, Brunswick, is there anything else that you'd like to say to our listeners? To any advice or tip that you could give them to maybe step up their game a little bit this year?
I mean, the easiest one I'd say is join the bow hunting league. It's free. There's no reason to join. So follow their page. There's a lot of experienced hunters on there. They always give them different pointers, and it's just fun to see how other people are doing. And you'll see a cold front come through and a bunch of kills. And my number one focus is weather. I mean, I always key on the weather. Weather kind of trumps everything. Weather and time of year. If you get the weather and you get the time of year during the rut, you better be in the stand. So weather and time of year is what I key on.
Before we wrap up your big buck, you did get this deer aged. Can you kind of go through that process of getting that done and how it correlated also with some information that your neighbors had given you?
Yeah, so obviously when I got this permission for this spot, I didn't necessarily know this deer was there. I knew it was a decent area. But I started getting pictures of this deer, and once I killed him, I started talking to guys something a fair ways away from me, and he had been watching deer for 4 years. He had pictures of it for 4 years. He actually missed it the year before, And he told me, he goes, that deer's gonna be 6.5 years old. And he showed me the photos, and I just couldn't believe how much that deer had grown over the years. Just crazy what the jump he made from 5 to 6. I mean, he was a good deer at 5, but man, he made a huge jump to 6.
Yeah.
I set the deer into deerage.com and get the results back. Came back as a 6.5-year-old deer. So for around here, it's hard for deer to get age around here. There's a lot of hunting pressure. So I've shot that dagger buck back there. I set his teeth in. He came back at 5.5. But it's just hard for deer to reach that age around here. So it's just crazy. And that guy's actually kind of became a friend. He was a class act about it. He came over, saw the deer, and I know you said you worked for the railroad, and he said he also did too. And had it not been for work, he probably would have killed his deer because it was in front of his tree stand that same day, but he was stuck at work. So, the cards just fell right for me. I got really lucky and very fortunate, and just one of those deer of many lifetimes.
Yeah, I think whenever I kill a buck from here on out, I'm gonna get him aged just because I kind of nerd out on that type of stuff. Just like talking with Bill there from Spartan Forge, like I get into that, and I get deep in the rabbit hole and get lost. And you also think one thing, and half the time you're close, but you're not really spot on. And doing that, I really think they do a damn good job of nailing it. And I listened to them on Trail Cam Radio, and they did a podcast with them, and very, very good podcast and very informational. And it's amazing how they can nail it every time. So I knew that you did that, and I just wanted to hear a little bit about your personal experience there.
Yeah, I think it's just great knowledge. It's another thing to learn. As these deer get older, they change their habits. Like the 5.5-year-old dagger buck back there I shot. When I first started hunting that property, the first year he was a mature deer, and he was all broken up. His eye was all puffed up that year, and I knew he was running deer off. The next year he showed up, and he was 1 inch bigger. I mean, he didn't change at all. He saw a big dagger on the one side, and I was like, man, if I see that deer, I'm going to kill that deer. And I knew he was mature the year before, and I went out I set a couple cameras deep in the woods. I'll try to leave 1 or 2 soak over the year and kind of retain that information, see what I learned from that bedding area. Back on the October 25th, 2017, there was a cold front, and beginning of October, I'm like, I'm going to go in, hunt, and pull that camera that I had soaking back there. I just want to see if anything else is going on. And my rut vacation was just kicking off. And so I went in, and I ended up passing that big 8-point. My wife ended up killing, a couple years later. And he came in after that and gave me a nice 20-yard shot, and I got him. So then I sent his teeth in. So I knew he'd be at least 5.5, and that's what he came back as. So
yeah,
it's kind of cool to have that knowledge.
Yeah, it's very cool, I think, and it kind of adds a little bit to the story there. I lost what I was going to say.
I like it because it helps you, try to train. I think this deer is 4 by the way he looks. It's hard to know until you get at age, and then it comes back as a 5-year-old or a 6 or a 3, and you're like, well, you learned something, Might need to tweak what you're thinking when you're looking at deer. So I think I'm terrible at aging deer. I'm always off by a year. It always seems like I seem like I'm always younger, I think. I just like, man, this is probably just like a 2-year-old, but it's just, or a solid 3-year-old. But most of the time it seems like I've been younger in the past. But
all right, I remember what I was going to say. Just like Matt said, how your buck blew up, from 5 to 6 there. And then, you got a 4-year-old and he doesn't grow 1 inch. And that's happened to us a couple of times. You're like, all right, I got a really solid, mature buck. Next year, going to be an absolute stud. And then he comes back and he's the same damn thing. You're like, bro, did you even shed your antlers this year? Because you are the exact same.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how some of these deer you think are going to blow up and they don't change at all.
No, nothing.
Another deer you think, I don't think he's going to change much, and he blows up like crazy.
Exactly. So. I mean, your deer obviously at 5 still had a bunch of junk and trash, and, he still had it all going on, but man.
Yeah, I've got a buck that I've had in my yard since we moved here. We moved here, and I've seen him grow 4 racks, and this deer is 120 inches maybe. And the reason I know it's him is because he's got a big split in his ear. And I've got several different bucks that I've seen in my yard, and he's the only one that looks like him anyway. But the split is like real pronounced. And I've found 2 of his sheds in my yard. I mean, like the deer's like in my yard a lot. But like you said, I mean, yeah, sometimes they just don't do anything. I mean, he's been the same thing since we moved here.
Well, it's because you're feeding him
Yeah, we
bird
got
seed.
a couple bucks like that.
Yeah, bird seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need to get him on some protein.
Yeah.
And
some
shit
real,
in that bird seed.
some real
It's
next level.
probably tasty as hell, though.
Yeah. What? Yeah. He's fat.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a couple bucks like that. You're like, man, I feel like if they're an 8-pointer and they're mature, that's pretty much an 8-pointer for the rest of their damn life. They might throw a weak ass G4 just to interest you that much more, but he's going to be an 8-pointer forever.
Right.
So, all right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up here. Appreciate you guys coming on. Appreciate you helping line this up, Ben. Kind of short notice on you guys, but I'm glad we wanted to get you on anyway. So glad we got to chit chat with you.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys can both top the seasons that you had last year. I don't know if that's possible for either of you to do, honestly, but I really hope you guys can. If you kill a bigger one, Brunswick, I don't know what.
If I'm able to kill early, I'll be looking out of state.
Yeah.
Hey, I tell you right now, he's coming west.
Yeah.
I've got a spot for him and everything. So he's,
Nice.
it's cool because there's so many. Last thing I'll say, there's so many guys that are like quality in the group. You get all these different levels, but he's definitely one of them. I want to make sure y'all got to meet him because I think a lot of him, and he's got a extremely honorable profession. He's a family man. Anything he kills, he deserves it. And I just want to make sure you guys got to meet Matt.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming on, man. It's been awesome chatting with you.
Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, there is another Legend of the Woods episode, big buck breakdown of an absolute giant in Ohio. Really like that. It was just, I know the guy was on a small property. He didn't mention that. I don't think he wanted to mention it, maybe just so people didn't know exactly where he was at. I don't blame him, but I know it was a very small property. And I know that he was kind of using social media to his advantage, like he was saying in this. So I think that's a great tip. You start seeing pictures of bucks that some people are sharing, and you can match up the backgrounds like that.
Yeah.
I've done that in multiple people's pics that I've seen. I'm like, I know exactly where this dude's at.
You are a savage when it comes to that. I seen that maple leaf 3 weeks ago.
I'm like, I leaned to that tree. I know.
Yep.
Better not be anything close to my house. I know exactly where you're at with that. Or when that guy found that deadhead, I'm like, yeah, that's right there. Guaranteed that. That's money. But so that's an advantage that you can use, something that a lot of people don't think about, being able to find that deer, and then also all nighttime pictures and still in there hunting him, and was able to get it done. So, and he said that, he hunted there a couple times in the morning and realized that it wasn't going to work. So he didn't go back in there and ruin it. He only went back in there in the evening when he knew that he could get in and not bump a bunch of deer. So,
and the other thing is he had this deer in July, and then he was gone until October. So, I mean, your hopes aren't really high until you start getting him back in October, which, I mean, it's cool to get the big velvet picks and stuff, but you can't kill him in July. So,
yeah, if you had a 252 on cam in July,
I mean, just like he said, it's stressful. and then he's gone. And then he's gone. So it's even like, I mean, we kind of had that.
That deer looked 300 in velvet. That deer's like, you're like, I don't even know how to add up all these inches. Dude's just big as shit.
Right. I mean, we kind of had the same thing. We had that one, like, it was literally almost the same dates, July 3rd and July 8th. And then he's gone until just right before season, just enough to keep you interested, just like him. He said, he's show up, and then it'd be a couple weeks, show up. So
Yeah.
just enough to keep you coming back.
Yeah. We can't get into those freak nasties with all the non-typical stuff going on. Magnum's got a little bit, but not crazy. Maybe this year
I
he'll
would say,
look like Medusa out there.
we need the 5 to 6 jump that he had. It would be all right.
We need a Medusa.
Yeah,
we're looking for a Medusa. All right, guys. Well, like we always say, we love you. Appreciate you listening. Hope you enjoyed this kind of the mid of the deer season lull, because deer season's all year round, but this is the lull.
Yeah,
this is like the October lull for deer season, and we appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to another Legend of the Woods. We're going to keep pumping out the content and hopefully keep filling your guys' ear holes. Always try to do the right thing, leave a legacy, and Whitetail Legacy is out.